Encapsulation. Encapsulation is when a class is wrapped up into a black box. When all of its inner workings, like attributes and methods, are hidden from other classes, it is said to be encapsulated. While Python does not have private variables, there is a naming convention. Any variable that should not be accessed from outside of the class should begin with a single or double underscore. Encapsulation can be done by making methods to set and get the values for the variables, instead of accessing them directly from outside the class. Let's look at an example on the next slide. In the code below, we have a new class named dog with two attributes, name and age. Currently, the attributes are both accessible from outside of the class. So here we can access directly Pete.name, Pete.age. Let's refactor this code to include a getAge method. This way, we can call the getAge method instead of directly accessing the age attribute. We can also put an underscore before age to show that we don't want this attribute accessed directly from outside the class. So here we now have a getAge method that all it does is return that attribute. So when we call Pete.getAge, we're not directly accessing the attribute, we're instead just calling a method that will return that attribute's value. Encapsulated classes have methods that do nothing but allow other classes to read and write their attributes. A method that reads an attribute is called an accessor, or sometimes a getter, because it gets and returns a value. It's good practice to include the word get in the name to remind you and others what it does. Note, just a reminder, self should still be the first parameter of class methods so that Python will call the method on whichever object is calling the method. A method that writes an attribute is called a mutator, or sometimes a setter, because it sets a value. It always has at least one parameter and usually no return value. It's good practice to include the word set in the name to remind you and others what it does. Def setAge, we have self as the first parameter and then new age. And we're going to set the age instance attribute equal to whatever argument is sent to this parameter. Let's see this new setter method in action. Recall, here are the setter and getter methods we just created in the dog class. With this line here, we are creating a dog object with a name of Pete and an age of 7. Calling the setAge method overrides the original age of 7 and changes it to 3. And then the getAge method called on the Pete object will return a value of 3. Python libraries such as math and random are encapsulated. You never need to see inside them or know how their code is implemented in order to use them. Some more benefits of encapsulation are data hiding. Users have no idea about the inner implementation of the class or how the class stores values. Increased flexibility. You can determine which variables of the class are read-only or write-only depending on the requirement. Reusability. Classes can be easily changed and reused because all information is encapsulated in one place. Testing code is easy.